Off the Wall, Michael Jackson classic review. It is time to talk about Off the Wall. Michael Jackson, the king, the legend, the pop of the pop music, the inspiration to many in terms of his style, his dancing, his moves, his image, everything about what he was doing in the 80s was in many ways ahead of its time, just so widely appealing to the masses, and even to this day his music reigns supreme. He has some of the best pop songs really ever, and prior to the 80s he was putting out some of the best pop songs ever. He's been doing it for so many years. Well, he was anyway. Of course, I'm not stupid. I know there's a very dubious past with Michael Jackson. Many disgusting allegations have always surfaced and been made about him for many years. I'm here to celebrate the album and the artist of Michael Jackson. None of that. That's all being swept aside here. I do not condone any of that, of course. I probably didn't need to say that, but just in case there was anyone in the comments that was like, how dare you, how dare you. I'm here to talk about the music, and the music he made remains legendary. Right from the get-go, this man brings a groove, and it is groovy as fuck. We've got Don't Stop Till You Get Enough with the violins driving the melody. Can you believe there are violins driving a pop melody? It's not the first time it's ever happened, and it isn't the last time it's ever happened, but when it happens, the falsetto is impeccable, it is unmatched. The Weeknd might want to try and replicate it, and to be fair, The Weeknd is excellent in his own right, but he will never get to the level of MJ. The way that this song is just driven by the falsetto from pretty much start to end, like that usually is a way that you're gonna make my balls shrivel up. Anytime a Pharrell track, particularly from his Girl album, pops up with the falsetto, oh my god, I wanna die. Oh my god, I wanna die. But somehow Michael Jackson gets away with it. He manages to not make me feel like I wanna die. And the best insight to this track, the best little anecdote, is the Quincy Jones interview where he says that Michael actually wanted to take out the violins. And Quincy Jones was like, no way, no way are we taking those out. And the interviewer is like, well, who won that argument? And Quincy's like, well, I obviously won. The violins are still there. Have you heard the song? That's what it is. That's what made it so iconic. And it's crazy that to me, like, I love little insights to that, like little background info that you hear about. You know, there's always those little stories, and like, I just want to hear more of that in music. I just want to know more things. Like, were there other classic famous songs out there that were going to be different? Was there going to be something different about it? Was an artist unsure whether they should do this, that, the other, blah blah blah? Just like the anecdote I heard one time about apparently Side to Side by Ariana Grande being about Chris Brown. I'm not making it up. I did hear that one time. I don't know if it's true, but no one in the world has ever talked about it, and if that is true, that's insane. But that's a very different kind of anecdote, to be fair. But just these little stories, these backstories, you know, was an artist going to take this out of the song? Was it a last minute decision to throw in this extra element? Were they going to do this? I love things like that, and that's what I love about this track as well, just that extra element of knowing that it could have sounded so different. And would it have been the hit it was? I don't think so. Like I say, violins, the way it drives the songs, that's unique. I don't think it would have carried the weight that it has for all these years. I love Rock With You, such a smooth track. He really loves and knows how to just kind of like give you the upbeat bam, the Shazam, and then he just like, you know, sort of leans back and kind of like goes into the slower stuff. He loves it, Michael Jackson. On all his albums, you have it every bloody time. I think for me, the reason why this is being reviewed over Thriller is that it happens way too much on Thriller, and those slower tracks are a bit cheesy and a bit much. But Off the Wall, the cheese isn't quite as strong, and it feels a bit more natural. And Rock With You, man, it's just such a lovely jam. And to be fair, the melody is still kind of danceable, where it goes like, ba 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 ba, I wanna rock with you. And it's like, bah, bah, bah. Oh, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. And this run in general, by the way, up until track 5, is elite. Man, I love a 5-track run. I'll tell you right now, an excellent 5-track run is Injury Reserve's Floss. The first 5 on that, oh my lord, what a run that is. I love me a 5-track run. I love a 3-track run, because 3-track runs are more common. You hit them more regularly. But when you hit a 5-track run where every song is just god tier, it's like, wow. And this album is one of those albums, man. This 5-track run is enough to call it the whole album a classic. He could have dropped the worst 5 songs ever after this. I still probably would say it was a classic. Working Day and Night, oh my god, it is such a jam. Oh my god, I mean, the idea of, like, you know, the man working for the woman, it's dated as hell, but who cares, man? It was made in the 1970s and it sounds this good even today. Oh god, it is the biggest jam you've ever heard. And then you've got Get on the Floor, which I'm still umming and ahhing as to whether this is my favourite track. I do love this one, man. It's hard to pick a favourite out of this bunch of tracks that is just so stellar. But again, the danceable melody, the dance grooves, man. Like, holy shit, this album is just sticky melody after sticky melody. And Get on the Floor, oh god, always got that one in my head. Just at any point in the day, get on the floor and dance with me. And the Friday anthem off the wall. You hit the Friday and it's time to throw the shit in the air and lob it at someone and celebrate the time off that you've got. It's a very relatable anthem, but also, again, the grooves, my friend. It's the perfect blend of, like, the future of pop music at the time, and then, like, the disco that was at the time very prevalent and, you know, slowly kind of slid into the more, you know, synthy stuff of the 80s. This album is a perfect marriage of those two genres kind of colliding together and sort of, you know, spinning around one another and kind of rolling forward and becoming the future of pop music. I know it's a really bizarre explanation of what I'm trying to say, but when you listen to this album, it really sounds like it's very indebted to disco stuff, but also it sounds like it's like looking to the future. That's 100% Quincy Jones, because we know what Michael Jackson was able to do later in his career, giving us some iconic, timeless pop songs of the 80s. And I feel like that Quincy touch just took this album to a new level of what pop music at that point probably wasn't quite looking for, because of obviously the disco trend at the time. But of course, MJ just took it one step further and really elevated it. And tracks like this just really remind me of that. Or not necessarily remind me of that, you know, remind us all of that maybe, or showcase us all that. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Anyway, Girlfriend next. A very Stevie anthem this. It's very apt for me to do a Stevie Wonder classic review in the same week of an MJ classic review, because I've always thought MJ takes so much influence from Stevie. It's pretty clear, to be honest, particularly in the slower R&B cuts that MJ drops. I hear so much Stevie in them, like that kind of like pouring yourself into another lady, the way that they both do as artists. I mean, come on, MJ must have been like listening to so much Stevie when he was a kid. And as much as I see people calling this one quite cheesy, it definitely is, but I kind of like the charm to it. It's certainly more enjoyable than, you know, that bloody Paul McCartney track from Thriller. I'll take stuff like this over that. I think I Can't Help It actually is probably a track that's one of the more subtle songs. It's not quite in your face, it's not there with the grooves, the instantaneous hookiness, but it still is really catchy. I can't help it, you know I do. I can't help it, even if I could, I can't help it. That's what MJ was always so good at. Like, he could bring a vocal melody from nothing and just really drive the song just doing that one thing. And because his voice is so good and so instantaneous, that songs like this could be pretty boring by anyone else, but he manages to make it great. I will certainly say She's Out of My Life isn't the best. And it's the falling in love that's incredibly cliche. Like, that track is just hitting all the cliches you could imagine. But another thing about MJ was that he wasn't always the most original songwriter. In fact, at times he was pretty cliche for the most part. But it's not a huge detriment when the songs do sound good. And then you can't not talk about the final track, Burn This Disco Out. I mean, kind of indicative of the time of music, disco. Maybe he's trying to burn disco alive and call it a day, or he's just talking about burning this disco out by just dancing your troubles away. Brings back that really in your face falsetto that I think really works from MJ. Look, if you're going to do falsetto, do it well, man. And I know I sound like I'm attacking the idea of falsetto, but honestly, it really does irritate me sometimes. I need to speak to a therapist about that. Falsetto can really grind my gears. But Michael Jackson, my friends, he does not grind my gears when he does it. So there, we'll leave it there. This is a classic. This is a fantastic pop album. It's of its time, but it's looking to the future, and it doesn't even really sound dated at all. Yeah, sure, cheesy moments, not, it's not always got the star-studded power of the first 5 tracks, but the final 5 tracks, you don't want to be throwing those ones away. They've got some charm to them. There's some gems in there, and even still, it's just really enjoyable pop music and R&B music as well. So yeah, that's it. That's Michael Jackson's Off the Wall. His best album for me by quite a margin. I really do believe that. And I'm glad I finally got around to talking about it on this channel, because I think it's fantastic, and hopefully you agree with me as well. So thank you as always for watching. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments if you agree, disagree. If not, tell me why. Have a good day and goodbye.